I'm me and Kozgi still working from the last 2 hours. It's not solved from the Facebook side. We raised the complaint for them.
Okay.
I'm me and Kozgi.
But I highly
still
doubt
working
how
from
the
last
audience
2 hours.
is going.
It's
for
not
that.
solved from the Facebook side.
Okay, so where is the YouTube link? It says meeting is now streaming live on YouTube. So share the YouTube link on
Yes,
Facebook.
yes, yes.
I'm checking Facebook right now.
Yeah.
Can you share it in the group, please?
Yeah.
Right now I will sharing. Yeah, just now I shared in the group. Please check it. You can post in your social media also.
So is it posted on HR's Facebook also as a
Yeah,
post
right.
and
I'm
Instagram as
posting.
a
I'm
post?
posting right away.
Okay.
But Lahari madam, you said this is the only we can start session by next 4 minutes like that. It's already live.
Oh, okay. Just a second, please. Okay.
Um, sorry, why is it not visible? Why is it not visible? I'm sending in the Instagram as well as in the Facebook also.
Okay.
Rashmi ji, I send the Instagram request to you for the collaboration.
Okay.
So are we going off and then can we go live again in 2 minutes? Hello, good evening, and welcome to our Beyond the Track webinar from Hyderabad Runners. Today we have the webinar running in the summer, Beating the Heat with Summer Hydration with sports nutritionist Ms. Rashmi Cherian. And to give an introduction about her, she is a renowned high-performance nutrition expert with over 17 years of experience. She's the co-founder and director of Wellness Vows Sports Nutrition Clinic and co-author of the book The Fitness Currency. She's Fit India ambassador for the Fit India movement launched by the Prime Minister, Mr. Narendra Modi, and also an advisory member to the Indian Academy for Sports Dentistry, an initiative by the Indian Dental Association. She has worked with more than 500 national and international medal winners in competitive sports and over 10,000 athletes at grassroots levels. Some of her clientele include Center for Sports Science, Bangalore, Kerala Blasters, Young Blasters FC, Viral Art, Italian Motorsport, IPL players, Pro Kabaddi teams, Round G. In addition to working with elite and grassroots athletes across multiple sports, Rashmi has a strong focus on endurance athletes, including runners and triathletes. She helps them optimize their fueling strategies, hydration, recovery nutrition, gut training, race day meal planning, and supplement protocols to enhance their performance, endurance, and recovery. She believes every meal is an opportunity to push boundaries, recover stronger, and excel faster because what you put in is what you get out. Winning starts on the plate. Welcome, Rashmi. How are you today?
Thank you so much, Lari. Thank you for the introduction. And I'm doing good and looking forward for this session.
Likewise. So, do you have a presentation that you want to share with us? And then we will
Yes.
proceed to the Q&A. Okay?
Yes. Okay. Good evening, everyone. And thank you, Hyderabad Runners, for having me here for this session. And I love chatting all about nutrition and hydration, especially when it comes to endurance sports and especially all my runners and triathletes. So this session, all of you who are listening to me or later on, you get into the session and hear me later on, then the session is something packed with a lot of information, and we have got a lot of questions related to how should I improve my like running during heat? How should I hydrate myself? So this session is all about hydration. Okay. And it's not about that, okay, you drink this supplement, take this gel, and your hydration will be better. But all my runners, you need to understand the science behind running and hydration, and especially when you're running in heat and humidity, what happens in your body. Because once you start understanding the science and the logic behind it, the way you start hydrating yourself will be much better. So without much further ado, let me just quickly share my screen. And I hope, Larry, my screen is visible. Yes?
No, we cannot see the screen yet, actually. It just says has started. Yes, now we can see the screen. Thank you.
Now you can. Okay, fine enough. And it is in slide mode thing, right?
Okay. Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Okay, fine enough. So let's begin and let's understand what hydration can do and how a basic hydration thing can take care of your performance and can protect you from injuries. So before I proceed, let's understand what's in the menu today. So first of all, we'll understand about why hydration matters, then how heat, humidity, and hydration can challenge people running in Hyderabad like kind of city, especially when Hyderabad Marathon is coming up in few months. Then how heat and humidity affect your running performance, whether you're in Hyderabad or any part of India or in the world. Then we need to understand your hydration needs, because a lot of you have asked, how should I hydrate during run, post run, and so many other things about it, your salt tablets and electrolyte drinks, gels, then hydration strategies before, during, and after running, and few hydration do's and don'ts I'm going to tell you. And after that, I'm going to address few of your question and answers. So let's begin why hydration matters. Okay. So hydration, let me tell you, is often the first limiting factor in performance. In even a properly fueled athlete, so athletes who have eaten well, have slept well, but if they are not hydrated well, they are dehydrated, it's going to impact their performance. In fact, studies show that a lot of athletes, including runners, they start their training or race in a dehydrated state because I hear from a lot of my runners, oh, ma'am, I don't like to drink water before that. I feel like heavy. I feel like pukish. So I run like that only. And a lot of them, they run almost like in a dehydrated state and they have completed full marathons also. Okay. So studies also show and a lot of injuries happen, inflammations happen. In that case, that I'll explain you in a while. So hydration is often the first limiting factor. Keep that in mind. So let's understand about water. Yes, we know our body has almost 60% of water. Okay. But where all 60% is covered? Our bones have almost 24% water. Brain is 75% water. Skin is 80%, lungs 90%, blood 85%, and muscles 75% water. So if you see you are dehydrated right from bone injuries to your brain not working, your cognitive function, your focus, concentration not working, your skin getting dehydrated, your sweat rate gets affected, your lungs breathing capacity, to your blood circulation, to your muscles, muscle pull, muscle cramps. So every other these things get affected when your body is dehydrated. So just don't think your mouth is dry and it's just related to thirst. Unless and until I'm not thirsty, I'm not going to drink. So thirst is something we consider last, because by the time you get the thirst signal, your body is already dehydrated. Okay. So in athletes, hydration helps to maintain your electrolyte balance, improves your blood oxygen circulation, prevents dehydration, and relieves fatigue. And water is for more than just quenching our thirst. Okay, it's for more. So even if you're not running, you're sitting, please understand in your body, a lot of functions are happening, and all these body parts needs water to function optimally. As simple as that. If you get headache post a run, okay, as simple. Brain is sending you signal. Think about it. When was the last time you had water? Okay, yes, food, because since it's specific to hydration, I'm not talking about the food because a lot of things come from the food aspect. But hydration is one thing. We just think about a glass of water or a liter of water when I'm running. But a basic as simple as headache can creep in if you are dehydrated. Okay. And then it's a small signal given by the brain. If you still don't take care, blackouts, and you can even collapse, and lot other things can happen. And that has happened in the recent TMM that has happened. So many casualties happened. It was super hot. People said the weather was not in favor. But are we prepared physically? We should be prepared for the all weather ups and downs. Yes, weather was bad, but were we physically prepared to take care of that kind of weather? So that's where hydration is one thing that you need to train your body. Now, why hydration matters for marathon runners. So, one simple thing, just a 2% dehydration can drop almost 10 to 20% in your performance. So, for those few percentage improvement or in performance, we get into those special shorts, those carbon plating shoes, and so many things. Okay, but a huge drop in your performance will simply happen by a 2% dehydration. Then all these special things that we are taking care of to improve our performance is not going to do anything. Okay. And when it comes to runners, or if I talk about other athletes as well, if in case you're watching this live, then it helps in regulating your body temperature. And I'll come to that little more in detail. Prevents cramps and fatigue, improves your endurance and recovery, supports your cardiovascular function. Sometimes they tell me my heart rate is high. How should I control? And somebody asked during long runs, how should I maintain my low heart rate? And one of the strategy is to take care of your hydration. Okay. Reduces risk of hyponatremia, optimizes digestion and nutrient absorption. So many also think about it. If these things are taken care of, won't your running will be better? It is going to be better, isn't it? So when we talk about heat and humidity, So what are the challenges for runners? And here I'm going to talk specific about Hyderabad because we are here on Hyderabad runners page and we are targeting that Hyderabad marathon. So in the month of August, your average temperature is going to be somewhere from 25 to 30 degrees Celsius and your humidity is going to be pretty high. And in humid conditions, sweat does not evaporate efficiently. So what happens? It results in an increased core body temperature and the dehydration risk is pretty high. So in TMM also the same thing happened where the humidity was really high. So your sweat doesn't evaporate properly, it efficiently, and that increases the chance of dehydration. So please keep in mind you're planning to come to Hyderabad for the run in August, take care of your hydration. So then how heat and humidity affect your running performance, okay? So if you see this graph, and by the way, guys, all my athletes, you will hear a lot of science from me because I'm not an influencer, I'm a sport science person. And I work with athletes on the base of science and data, and a lot of analysis goes into it. I'm not somebody who will just give random advice. So you will get, because unless and until you are not informed about the things, you are not going to take care of things accordingly. So understand the science behind the things. And running is not about just getting up from the bed and run. No, there are a lot of things that work around, right from your muscle training to what all muscles are being engaged to your so many things. So getting back to your hydration. So here, if you see this graph, a quick thing, in hot and humid conditions, the sweat rate differences are very high compared to the runner running in a cool and dry environment situations. So the sweat rate differences are pretty high. The sweat rates are pretty high when you are in a hot and humid conditions. And on top of that, if you are a heavy sweater, then so don't talk about it, how much the water loss happens. So the first thing, what happens when you run in high temperature, your blood flow to the skin increases. So this you need to understand why it matters. So see what happens when you're running and the weather is hot. So your body needs to cool down your body. Okay. So what happens? The blood flow towards the skin increases and it dilates the blood vessels in the dermal area so that the sweat glands can start secreting sweat. And when the sweat is produced, it helps in cooling down your skin. So then this becomes priority for your body, and then your performance gets affected because a lot of energy is used up and your water is used up in pushing it towards the skin to increase, to drop down the temperature of your body. Okay, because if the temperature is high, then again the more calorie burn is going to increase. On top of that, if your skin gets burnt while running, if you in case develop sunburn, then the blood flow towards your skin increases more because it has to prioritize healing of the skin, and then dehydration becomes more. And that's why they recommend people that in high heat conditions to cover your skin and as much as possible wear hats and other things to protect yourself so that you don't end up with skin burns. Then, like I already explained, your skin temperature rises and body needs energy, body needs that water to cool you down. Then the heart load and stroke volume. So in this process of increasing blood flow to the skin, heart rate increases and the stroke volume means the amount of blood pumped by the heart per beat drops. Okay, it starts decreasing. So what happens? Your heart has to work harder to provide that continuous blood flow to the body. And in that process, when the heart is pumping more, it needs more water, electrolytes, more calories it needs, and you start getting tired in that case. And your heart rate is more on a higher side, you end up burning more calories and your water is used up more. So that again increases your water requirements when you run in high temperature. Then obviously, because of all this, dehydration starts increasing, and because you're losing fluid and electrolytes, your blood plasma volume starts dropping. And again, it leads to ultimately your tiredness, fatigueness, cramps, and lot other things. And as a result, obviously, your performance starts declining. So it has been seen that runners who take care of their hydration during their run perform better. So please, if you have that mindset or you have been running without water, I don't like to take electrolytes, and most of the people don't like to have bottle in their hand, though a lot of them are okay. habits can be changed, habits are created, habits can be changed. If it's working for you, good. But at the same time, see, is it improving your timing? How is your finish? Like, how are you finishing? Are you strong at the finish line? What is your hydration level at that point? So if things are getting affected, that means you need to start changing your habits when it comes to hydration and electrolyte consumption before, during, and after your running. Okay, so a quick another one diagram for you. I'll come to the more strategies later on, but I want you to understand the science. So thermoregulation is basically the body's natural cooling system. So if you see this diagram, this brain side, if you see, that's a normal body temperature. So when the body temperature rises above normal, the nervous system signals dermal blood vessels to dilate, which I already explained you, sweat glands to secrete sweat, and body heat is lost to its surroundings and body temperature drops towards normal. So this is the body's cooling mechanism. That's how it has to work, and that's how you continue to maintain your pace and continue to run properly, efficiently and stronger when your body temperature is under control. Okay, a lot of times people have told me, I don't sweat. You don't sweat because there's no water left in the body also. So it's like, always give them a basic example. If there's no water in the tank, how it's going to come in the tap? Okay, so same way, when your body doesn't have water only, and your body inside, from digestion to breathing to every other damn function in the body needs water, then sweating goes out. A body stops producing sweat, and then your body temperature increases, and then it creates a lot of the problems in the body. So another this one. So when you start including fluid during sweat loss, so there is one thing, yes, and when you don't. So if you do it, then your fluid balance is maintained, which is called technically euhydration. Then optimal functioning of the skin, blood flow, and sweating happens, then normal body temperature response is there. But don't, if you decide not to hydrate yourself because it will cut down your timing because you have to stop by or take it, then you will develop dehydration, skin blood flow will drop, sweat rate also will start dropping, your body temperature will go up high because there's no sweat, and heat illnesses are high. And then a lot of runners have told me, I wish I would have taken that few seconds, then I would not have wasted minutes and minutes and maybe more towards the last 5 kilometers and 10 kilometers. Okay, so strategically running is important, and taking those few seconds to take that electrolyte drink or the water, or if you prefer to run initially a couple of kilometers with a water bottle in the hand, practice, then it's going to help you. It will save time in the end. So it's very, very important to take care of the things. Now, quickly, we talk a lot about dehydration and overhydration. So I explained you, if you decide yes, then it's a simple maths. You decided to hydrate yourself, body temperature is maintained, good to go. But in the previous slide, what I said, if you decide not to do it, you will be dehydrated. Now, what will happen if you are dehydrated? So dehydration hinders performance by affecting strength, power, coordination, aerobic endurance. Severe dehydration can cause heat stroke and can be fatal. And we have seen a lot of instances in the past wherein people have ended up in ICU, and a lot of them have lost their lives also. Yes, there are a lot of other reasons involved about their training, food, and so many other things, about their body checkups, and multiple things are there. But hydration is one thing, nobody talks about it, and we don't even focus on it, that even this could have been the reason behind my poor condition after my long run. So how do I know if I'm dehydrated? Okay, quick symptoms. Muscle cramps, we all know. I am dehydrated, and a lot of people are like, yes, I know I am going to cramps towards the end. Okay, it is common. No, it's not necessarily common in long runs. Okay, if you start taking care of the things beforehand, you cramp. There are things in terms of your exercising, conditioning, and all of that, but your hydration plays an important role. Then increase heart rate. So if your heart rate is increasing even at a slow pace, at a conversational pace, that means you are dehydrated. Your energy levels dip, your mouth is dry, sticky mouth, extreme thirst, okay, muscle fatigue, nausea feeling, you feel like vomiting, that nausea feeling is there. That means again you are dehydrated. That happens a lot with the football players on the court and other athletes who play under the sun. Then dark yellow urine. This is a very common thing. I guess most of you must be knowing about it. So if your urine color is dark yellow, obviously you are dehydrated. And please start drinking more water. If you're disoriented, means you don't know what's happening around you. You feel your mentally you are not okay. Your cognition or your focus is dropping down. Before you collapse and get into next level, which is like kind of could be fatal and dangerous, please start hydrating yourself. Health is first, then comes obviously performance comes. Another day I made the video. Performance is based on your health. So if your health is good, obviously your performance is going to be good. And then obviously, if your performance is dropping something what you were already doing and you were performing well, and if the performance is dropping and you can't give even the basics what you were doing in your training, then definitely you are dehydrated. And in spite of all these signs and symptoms, if you still decide that I don't want to drink water, I will do it later on, then what can happen? Few things. Basic. 1% dehydration, which is like just a 0.7 kg, 700 grams of body weight loss can increases your body temperature, 2% impaired performance, 5% gut related issues, heat exhaustion, 7% hallucinations, and 10% circulatory collapse. Okay, so please understand this. If you can, take a screenshot of this. So when you are facing these kind of issues, and you need to runners, you need to read your body, what is happening, when it's happening, and you need to be attentive about the things and understand if it's happening, I need to take care of my health first and then get into the next steps in terms of my running. Okay. And remember, drink regardless of whether you are thirsty or not. Because like I said, thirst is the last indicator we'll consider. Because before that, your body would already have been dehydrated massively because your body has so much water. So before it gives you thirst signal, body would have started utilizing water from other reserves of your body. Okay, from your joints, from your muscles, from all over around. And then when your body is dehydrated, it sends you thirst signals. So please don't rely on your thirst signals. Okay. Now, somebody asked in the questions, how do I know I am overhydrated? So there's thin line between being dehydrated and overhydration. And overhydration also is pretty common. A lot of runners tell me that I drink 6 to 7 liters of water. And okay, fine. It depends again on your sweat rate, which I'll explain you in a while. But there's a thin line between dehydration and overhydration. You need to read your body. So the quick things, the color of your urine will be dark yellow. Whereas if you're overhydrated, the color will be white, transparent, no yellow. So if you are in euhydration, a balance of hydration state, your urine should have a tinge of yellow color in it. Mild pale yellow color it should be. That means you are in a normal balanced state of hydration. Okay. Whereas in dehydration, you will get fatigue, dizziness, headaches can happen. Whereas in overhydration, confusion, swelling in hands and feet can happen. So what happens in overhydration, your sodium levels drop. We call it as hyponatremia also that happens, wherein your sodium levels drop. And when sodium levels drop, water moves to the cells, which causes swelling of the cells, including brain cells. And that's why it can be fatal. You can collapse also. So if you see swelling in your hands and feet, that means you are overhydrating yourself. And mentally you are confused, needs to be taken care of. Cut down on it. Then you will have dry mouth, muscle cramps, your heart rate is increased. Whereas in overhydration, the extreme cases happen generally, seizures or coma kind of things can happen. Even at times muscle cramps can happen, especially if you are just chugging on plain water with no electrolytes. Then also, since your electrolytes are overly diluted in the body, muscle cramps can happen in that case. So you need to monitor your urine color, drink steadily post-run if you are dehydrated, include sodium-rich fluids. Whereas if you're overhydrated, then avoid excess plain water. Okay. Include electrolytes. Don't just rely on plain water and drink to thirst in this case. Please rely on your thirst in that case if you have a tendency to overhydrate yourself. Okay. So these are the few basic signs and symptoms that you need to understand. read your body when you are training, and if you have done few couple of half marathons in full, how your body have felt and understood, analyze those things, and then start making corrections for your next runs and training sessions. Now, when it comes to your individual hydration requirements, how do you decide? Now, a lot of people have asked me questions about which electrolyte I can drink. Okay, is it okay to take gels? Okay, all these questions are valid. And how much water should I drink? How much electrolyte should I drink? See, there is no one straight blank answer that, okay, drink 8 glasses of water or drink this much of supplements or this much of sodium or this electrolyte. You need to understand your hydration needs. So when I work with my athletes, there is a hydration plan also for them, which goes along with their nutrition. How much water and your hydration needs. Please don't just focus on your main race day, because majority of your questions are focused on the main race day. Main race day, you will follow only what the things you have done in your training. Okay, and that's what you have to copy paste on your main race day as well. Okay, so to understand your hydration needs, first of all, you need to understand your sweat rate. So there are heavy sweaters, there are moderate sweating people, and there are people who are average. They're okay, they won't sweat a lot. Only in extreme heat cases, little bit of few sweat droplets will come. Okay, so the major challenge comes for the people who sweat a lot. Okay, so please, if any of you who sweat a lot, like even if you're sitting and you're not in a training also and you sweat a lot, then you need to be special cautious about your fluid and the electrolyte balance. So to understand that, basic test is there, which we do even with our young athletes in other sports also. Before run, weigh yourself. After run, weigh again, and check how much weight loss have happened. And if you have taken water during that 1-2 hours of training, then whatever weight loss happened, add that to your weight that has come up. And that is the amount of water that you have lost basically. Okay, so generally, whatever weight loss happens during your training is the water weight loss that happens, and hydrate accordingly. Now, if you have lost 2 kgs and you need to gulp in 2 liters of water, it's not like immediately after that you start drinking and finish entire amount of that water, because body will flush out of that water if you drink too much in one shot. Okay, our diuretic hormones will get active, and it's like how sugar is a lot in the body, insulin comes in and it clears out of the body and makes it normal. Same way, when you drink too much of water altogether, body will clear it out and you will flush out. You have to go to washroom and it will all clear off. So drink it over a period of time. And studies suggest that sweat rates can range from 0.5 to 2.5 liters per hour, depending upon body size, your metabolic rate, acclimatization of the environment, and running intensity. So, half a liter to 2.5 liters of water you can lose per hour. Okay, and runners should aim to replace 80 to 100% of sweat loss during and after the race to maintain hydration balance. It's important. Okay, and your sweat rate is basically it's highly individualized based on genetics, environmental conditions, your fitness level, body size. It's gender specific also. So a lot of factors, your sweat rates are dependent. So one person is not like the same one. Please understand your sweat rate, and by measuring individual sweat rate helps determine fluid needs, ensuring optimal hydration without over hydrating or dehydrating yourself. So your hydration needs will be based basically on how much sweat you are losing per hour of training, and you're a heavy sweater or a moderate one. And also heavy sweaters there are ones which are salty sweaters or a more diluted one. So you need to check your t-shirts after drying up. If it has a a salty deposit on your t-shirt, like a powder kind, you're losing a lot of electrolytes. There are people, they don't, so they are more on a water loss kind. They are losing not much of electrolytes. So again, there also differences come in, and we have to hydrate athlete accordingly. So there is no one size fit all that, okay, you take these many sachets of gels and tablets and you can hydrate yourself. Now, like I was talking about electrolytes, let me talk about it, because a lot of us, we know Fasten Up tablets, we know electrolyte tablets are there in the market, some LM, Element, and so many other electrolyte drinks are there. But do we really understand what is electrolyte? Why do I need? So most of the time we are copy pasting what others are doing, but do we really get into it and understand what's electrolyte? So electrolytes are your sodium, potassium, magnesium, which are lost through, and chloride also, through sweat along with water. And these minerals are essential for muscle contractions, nerve function, and fluid balance. And by the way, I have YouTube channel also wherein I talk a lot in detail individually about these things and all related to sports. So you can find out Rashmi Cherian on YouTube, and you can check out my videos, and don't forget to subscribe as well. So when it comes to sodium, so sodium's job is to maintain fluid balance and prevent hyponatremia, which is low sodium levels, which can occur if only water is consumed too much during prolonged exercise. So sodium's job is to maintain fluid balance and prevent hyponatremia. Whereas potassium supports muscle contractions and prevents cramping. Magnesium helps in energy production and muscle recovery. So all work in sync with each other. And one thing you need to understand about sodium and potassium is, especially when you're buying these different sports drinks in the market, there are so many every other day, something or the other keep coming in the market. We need to see sodium to potassium ratio has to be 3:1. Sodium has to be more, potassium has to be less. So if sodium is 200 to 300 milligram, potassium needs to be like 50 to 75 milligram. Okay, it's very important that ratio needs to be maintained, because again it will create problem if you drink some miscalculated these electrolytes in any sports drink. And again, I'm going to say just water isn't enough. You will need your electrolytes, but it needs to be properly customized for you as per different factors in that I mentioned, taking care of your hydration. So quick thing, let's understand about the hydration strategies for runners, especially before, during, and after. Okay, and when we talk about before run hydration, pre-run hydration, see, you need to plan. You just can't get up for your main race day or even the training and start running. And a lot of them tell me, I'll just get up 15, 20 minutes or 30 minutes and then I'm out for my run. So see, drinking before water before you get your heart pumping is crucial. It's important. It's mandatory. It's not optional. And you should aim to be fully hydrated within an hour of starting your run. Okay, because the act of drinking water only starts the hydration process. And whole night when you are sleeping, you get dehydrated in that case. Because you were breathing and all your body functions were working, right? So it needs water. So 2 to 3 hours before, especially when we talk about the main race day, because for trainings we can't afford to wake up so many hours before. Drink 500 to 1000 milliliter of water, like close to a liter, or an electrolyte rich beverage. Drink it over a period of time, meaning sip by sip. Don't drink altogether, especially if you are a heavy sweater. It's important that before you start your race, within an hour or 2 hours prior your race, drink a electrolyte rich drink, at least 500 to 750 ml or a liter of fluids, sip by sip, before you start your main race. Then at least hour before your race, consume 200 to 300 ml of fluids. Now it might look a lot. Okay, you might be uncomfortable in 1 or 2 races, but it's body and we adapt at any age the way you train it. Okay, and definitely it's not uncomfortable after a couple of shots, and you need to give a try. And monitor hydration status. Urine color should be pale yellow. Keep an eye on that. Every time you're going to washroom, please keep an eye on your pee. Check the color. It's very, very important. Okay, and if you're a heavy sweater, please start drinking your electrolyte beverage, in fact, previous day itself. Now, when it comes to during run, now your fluid intake goes by 400 to 800 ml per hour. Okay, adjusted based on your sweat rate. It is according to American College of Sports Medicine that adjusted based on your sweat rate. If it's hot, humid, and other things that I've already explained, but anywhere from 400 to 800 ml per hour it goes up, down. And then for long runs, which are going more than an hour, okay, include 300 to 600 milligrams sodium per hour to prevent cramping. Especially if you're a heavy sweater, you might have to go beyond this. But if you're running for more than an hour, if it's just an easy run for a 45 minutes to an hour, you don't need all of these things. Okay. But if it's going more than an hour, your intensities have increased, your mileages are increasing, and you are a heavy sweating person, then you need to make sure 300 to 600 milligrams sodium per hour you need to prevent cramping. And to see that, whatever drinks you're having, start checking the labels, start seeing how much sodium, potassium is there. Or else work with a qualified sports dietitian who work with endurance athletes to understand your hydration needs. Because sometimes it's too much of the maths and mind is going crazy. So let somebody else do the maths for you so that you know how much you should be doing. And you can maintain optimal performance by replacing at least 80% of sweat loss during performance. We don't want 100%. 70 to 80% of your sweat loss during performance, and your performance will be really good. You will be able to finish strong. Now, when we talk about post-run hydration, now you have checked your weight during your trainings and all of that, and you know that how much generally body weight loss happens post your runs. So first thing, drink almost 150% of fluid lost during exercise to account for natural losses. So if you lose 1 liter, rehydrate with 1.5 liter. Okay. And this is not I'm saying, but this is what the science says. Sports science says that 150% of the fluid lost you need to be taking into account. And this does not need to be consumed all at once. Like I said, drink 500 ml post training, then the rest gradually can happen. Okay, and athletes, runners should assess their post exercise urine color as well as any body mass changes that help in rehydration strategies. And sodium with water boosts hydration and plasma volume. Try coconut water or electrolyte drinks. So banana is good in potassium, coconut water, again, potassium. So I always suggest my athletes, whenever you drink coconut water, put a pinch of salt in it because coconut water is high in potassium and the sodium is less. And like I said, sodium to potassium ratio, coconut water doesn't fit in that. So I always tell her to add a pinch of salt into it to balance little sodium in that. So you always don't need supplements. Okay. You can do foods as well to take care. Like your fruits could have been there. Sometimes, a lot of times they serve on the track and like watermelon or oranges with salt on it. Even a lot of my runners, they carry with them because we can't rely every time what is being served, because most of the time I've seen post runs and all the food which is served is really bad and not for the post race recovery or to take care of their hydration. So make sure to carry some fruits with salt on them. You will get some vitamin C like oranges and all, and some sodium along with that. So just don't rely on the supplements, but bring in some food which can take care of your sodium levels and electrolytes. So this is what you need to take care of your post-run hydration. Okay. And my last bit here is, with this I will end because I would like to spend more time with Q&A session with all of you. So the quick about the do's and don'ts on the race day. Quick about the do's, please plan hydration based on your sweat rate, and this needs to be done much before your main race day. Please start practicing in your training sessions. It's very, very important. A lot of times runners come to me that I am going for London Marathon or Chicago, Boston, Berlin, or maybe these some other marathons coming up, and we have just a month to work on the things. It doesn't work that way. You didn't started training for running a month ago. You started many years ago or many months ago. Okay. Same way, your hydration for your body to adapt. Please make sure you have a hydration plan in hand as per your sweat rate, and that needs to be practiced in the training sessions. Drink small sips consistently rather than large amounts at once. Prioritize electrolytes along with water. Use cooling methods. Now, this I leave it on to you. I'll not talk much about it, but these things, if happen to you, if it's available, you can use these things. And lastly, don'ts. Drink only water for long distance runners. Please avoid that. You need electrolytes. Okay. You need your carbs. It's very important during long runs. Avoid waiting until thirsty to start drinking. Thirst lags behind dehydration and ignoring signs of overhydration, hyponatremia risks. So please avoid these things. And I will add here even dehydration signs. Please be smart to understand what's happening in your body, because ultimately then we start blaming others. It's about you, runner, as an athlete. You need to understand what's happening inside your body, and you are responsible taking care of your body and your health when you're running, how much ever important that race is. Remember, your health is first, and then only performance comes in the picture. So that was my take on hydration. And a quick thing before I get into the Q&A, you can always reach out to me on Instagram or YouTube. Anywhere you search Rashmi Cherian, I'll be there. You can DM me there or follow me, because I all talk about sports nutrition specific for athletes only and endurance sports. So yeah, that's about it, Lari. We can get into the questions maybe now.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Rashmi. That was really good and comprehensive, covering all the basic stuff that all of us endurance athletes should know about. We do have few important questions or interesting questions. So some of the endurance athletes, if not most of us, do wear smart watches, right? Some of the smart watches seem to be giving status on sweat loss as well. So how reliable is it, and can we rely on that information to choose our hydration strategy?
Okay, so see, any of these tech gadgets, yes, we have evolved a lot and they give a lot of information, but definitely they're not taking care of a lot of the body functions that's happening in the body. So I wouldn't say data will be accurate, but we can use that data as a base, okay, to at least start replenishing what my watch is saying. At the same time, I always tell my athletes, a lot of times it happens, these Garmin watches and other watches are showing recovery was good and you have slept well, but the athlete is tired actually next day. Okay, so you need to understand about your feel also. I always tell them, understand how you're feeling at that moment, and accordingly use the data from your smartwatches, whether it's sweat loss or your heart rate or any other thing.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Paying attention to how your body feels rather than just going by the numbers. Definitely. So,
Yes.
another question I personally have is how do you decide when to drink water and when to drink electrolyte while you are on a run that is more than an hour long, right?
Hmm.
In your presentation, you did mention that, make sure you also add electrolytes and not just depend on water. So, is there any kind of time duration or the frequency at which you should alternate between electrolytes and water?
Okay, so see what happens is when it goes beyond an hour of running, I need to understand what is the sweat rate of that person. And if that person tends to show certain signs that after an hour I am feeling low in energy, a little body cramp starts and all of that. So I always tell them start carrying at least 250 to 500 ml of electrolyte with you, and alternatively sip between electrolytes and your water. It's very important. Okay, because at times what happens is people end up drinking only electrolytes and they start drinking plain water later on. Okay, so if you drink only electrolyte, lot of mouth drying will also happen because of the sugars in them also along and with the sodium. And you end up drinking more and you will feel more dehydrated. So if you're going more than an hour, please carry 250 to 500 ml of electrolyte with you, and could be more based on your sweat rate. I've gone even a liter as a couple of my runners sweat extremely high. So then, and I tell them to alternatively sip. Now, a lot of times runners during their practice runs in loop. They don't carry things with them. They come back, they pick up the things and they drink. It's fine, but at times I tell them, please have those 250 ml water bottles with you and try to run with a small bottle in your hand. Okay, because it's based on how long is your loop also. Are you taking 7 kilometers as the loop, or you're taking 10 kilometers as the loop? How is it? And based on that, you can do, because when you're doing the main race, it will be at a stretch. You will not have the option to come back and pick up. So it's very important to have it in your hand and alternatively start sipping when you know you are going to strain more than an hour.
Okay, yeah, makes sense actually. So, thank you. And then one of our runners has a question: do tea, coffee, and juices count towards the daily water intake?
I wouldn't say no to it. Okay. At the same time, I'm not against tea, coffee also. Again, it depends. You need to include them little strategically if you are working on the performance nutrition and looking into your performance. So, this tea, coffee, again, if you add too much of sugar into it, all of that, then because of that sugar, again, um, your dehydration, because as such coffee doesn't dehydrate you, so you can include, and it doesn't add up to your hydration because that's just a small cup of coffee or the tea you are having. Your separate hydration needs to come in the picture, and if you drink more than 2 cups of coffee and all of that, please look into it because it will impact your sleep. And if you want to use coffee as a performance enhancer for your running, then you need to use it strategically and control it in terms of how we need to use. So sometimes when the main race is coming, I have to withdraw my runners from the coffee for a short while, because when they have been drinking it for a longer period of time, the impact of coffee is not there on them when we do it on the main race day, and then I reintroduce it. So that is the performance aspect, but a simple answer to it is no. Yes, juices can come in the picture, but definitely I don't suggest too much of juices on a regular basis. Prefer eating your fruits and water as such. Maybe you can add some fruit slices in your water to make it interesting, some chia seeds into it, lemon juice into it, all of that, but prefer consuming more in terms of water.
So, just adding to that, can juices also be used as your electrolyte drink? Like you were talking about adding a pinch of salt to the fruit, right? A piece of fruit. Say you're carrying some watermelon juice, for example, and then add a pinch of salt to it. And can you use that? Yeah,
Okay.
dilute it and use that as your electrolyte. What is
Okay,
your
I'll
take on
answer
it?
that.
This is just,
Yes,
yeah.
yes, yes, yes. Important thing, I always add that information to it. So what happens is these sports drink, they are isotonic solutions, which means they are 6 to 8% glucose solution. So when you have 6 to 8% glucose solution, when you drink a sodium a sports drink, your sugar doesn't go up and you don't crash, because the sugar levels are in sync with our own body sugar levels to maintain that. When it comes to juices, energy drinks, they are hypertonic solutions, meaning sugar solution is 10 to 12% based on the kind of fruit used. Okay, so we don't suggest drinking juices during the runs. Yes, if you want to use juice, you need to dilute it with water. Like if 25% of fruit juice, then remaining 75% needs to be water, and salt can be used in it. That's how the thing can be done. But avoid using plain juice directly during your runs, especially orange juice, because oranges have high potassium content in them. So if you check any of the orange juices that are available in the market label, the potassium content is pretty high. Okay, so that's why orange with salt works really well, because it has potassium in it and salt will add sodium to it. Okay, so juices, that's the reason I would not recommend during the runs.
Okay. Thank you. So another question we got is about there is somebody who mixes small electral sachet which contains 520 milligrams of sodium and 520 milligrams of salt, basically sodium chloride, and 300 milligrams of potassium chloride in 1 liter of water. So this person is asking, he feels okay with using that as their electrolyte solution. Is this okay, or would you recommend some other changes to this?
Okay, so a lot of
They also
people.
mentioned they are a low sweater. So,
Okay, yeah, I was coming to the sweat rate. Okay, so a lot of people use electrol in other sports also. So please understand one thing: electrol, yes, sodium and potassium levels will be high, and especially if you are not a heavy sweater, then you don't need that much of sodium potassium. And electrol was made for those people, keeping in mind, who are severely dehydrated due to stomach infections or diarrhea and all of that. Okay, so if you consume too much of salts also, your appetite will also go off. It cuts your appetite. So avoid using too much of salt and containing which has too much of sodium, potassium if you're not too high sweater. There is another variant of Electrol, which is Enerzal in the market, and it's made specific for athletes, keeping in mind. So though I don't recommend it regularly, because when it comes to a good sports drink, I prefer having a good magnesium also in them, and certain other things in them, to like certain of them good ones do contain some vitamin C and other things in it. So a good composition will work, which is made for athletes. So if you're a beginner and you want to switch to a good electrolyte, maybe you can start with Enerzal. So it will still take care of your electrolytes, and if you're not heavy sweater, then that should be good enough.
Okay. My next question was going to be about magnesium, actually. You mentioned about ratio of sodium to potassium. Ideally, that should be there in an electrolyte drink, which is 3:1. Any specific ratio or content or concentration of magnesium you would recommend?
There's nothing particular percentage around it. Okay, somewhere around 10 to 20 milligrams generally are present in the sports drink. So zinc, magnesium, all of that, some minor dose will be there as they come in the micronutrients. So little bit also is coming is fine, because they don't go out of your body much, and we don't tend to dehydrate those nutrients more than sodium and electrolyte, because they are lost more in your sweat. So as such, the ratio or the percentage is not specified for it, but 10 to 20 milligram is what will be there in a lot of these sports drinks.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. And if somebody experiences, so another one of our viewers has asked if they experience cramps after covering about 25 kilometers, right? So say about 2.5 hours maybe. What immediate actions can they take if they start cramping after that, spending that amount of time? Let's say their
Okay.
hydration was not on point till that point, right?
Yeah, so obviously you need to start hydrating. Better if you have salt tablets and all of that, high dose of sodium and potassium you need to start consuming. At that point, I always suggest stop if possible. Okay, and avoid too much of stretching and all of that at that point, because a lot of runners have a or anybody, any athlete, they tend to start because see, your muscles have been stopped. They are not working. They are constricted at that point. And if you try to stretch them at that point, tendency to get injured is pretty high at that point. So we kind of relax at that point, and we tell to start hydrating yourself so that you don't get into the next stage of further wherein you need IV fluids. So a couple of times our runners have gone later on and taken saline solution IV because they kept on cramping at shorter durations. So because at times you are so severely dehydrated that how much ever you try to consume it, it doesn't help. And since you are severely dehydrated, you tend to get nausea feeling also, which cuts your appetite towards drinking more fluids or consuming more of salt at that point. They find it difficult. Okay, so that is one thing that can be done. And if you have seen that has happened in the past, then please take care in the next races it doesn't happen. And lot comes down to your strength and conditioning also in taking care of your cramps as well.
So be prepared beforehand, and whenever you get cramps after a point or at a certain point, that has to be your warning sign, and ideally that should be the first and last time it happens, right? If you learn the lesson and then
Exactly. Yes.
using a good strategy and go ahead and plan your next race and everything. Okay.
Yes.
And someone who has a high sweat rate, what's the strategy for electrolyte hydration?
Yeah, that's what I explained. It's again comes down to our calculations and looking into it. What are the signs and symptoms they are seeing? How it's impacting their run? At what? How many kilometers the run is getting affected? Then we bring in the gels or the electrolytes. Certain foods can come in the picture, and that's how we start taking care from previous day onwards, when the main race comes in for heavy sweaters. So a lot of things we need to understand, and that's how your electrolytes come in strategically throughout the day.
So you mentioned about salt tablets, right? Can salt tablets be used in conjunction with electrolytes? Like you're taking electrolytes, you're taking salt tablets, and you're taking water as well. and you're taking some hydrating foods also. So how do you place these at different points? Is there any specific order, or is something better over the other?
Yes. So see, first of all, I'm not a big fan of salt tablets. Okay. Because I see every other person is chugging in salt tablets like Skittles. Okay. Even their sweat rates are not that high. They're still consuming. It's not required. I have few runners who, like, I can't tell you how much this sweat rate is. It's very high, that if they're training, they tend to even slip in their training because of the sweat that gets collected where they're standing. Okay. So there it becomes mandatory for me to bring in little later. Like generally, we bring in these salt tablets after 21 kilometers in the second half of the main race, I would say. Well and conditioned well, these kind of people in the first 21 kilometers, hydration, your electrolytes, your water, some carb fluids in between works well. Even you take gels also contain your electrolytes. So in the second half, wherein it becomes really crucial, and most of the time in these races, the electrolyte drink that is provided on the track is pretty diluted. Okay, that doesn't work well with the high sweaters. Then I have to bring in the salt tablet. Now, there is no particular protocol that first you take a salt, because anyways, we are incorporating in the second half of the run. Okay, so you've already done your electrolytes in the initial state. So what I tell them, so what they do is like this minute they see the hydration station is coming up, pop in one tablet and drink an electrolyte drink on top of it, or a plain water. Okay, based on the type of hydration drink that is provided on the track. And then that's also not more than two, or maybe two. In triathlons and all, we go more with heavy sweaters, but not more than two, maybe required salt tablet.
So when you see this symptoms of dehydration, and you're talking about how you should continue to hydrate throughout the day, about how many hours after completion of an event should you ideally be getting back to euhydration state? Like, is there any timeline beyond which the dehydrated state should not extend if we don't want to compromise the recovery process?
Yeah, so there's no particular timeline, but it's always said the minute you finish your race, your for your recovery process to begin, please start hydrating yourself and start refueling your body. It's very, very important. Yes, we are busy in clicking pictures and celebrating and dancing. It's all good, but please don't forget that body, because the same night and the next day is going to be quite painful. Okay, so very, very important. Start hydrating at that moment. And one thing, if you want to avoid dehydration, please avoid alcohol, because it has become a norm to celebrate finish line with a bottle of beer or an alcohol drink in the night. It's fine. I'm not against it. Maybe that night is not the right time. Okay, and a lot of runners have noticed how big difference happened. They are like, if I can get this kind of recovery, I don't want to touch it. Yes, celebrate maybe next day, but bring in other fluids at that point. If you're really serious and want to take care of your body, this has become, and I made a video also on that, how alcohol disrupts your recovery and overall performance gains and the race outcomes once you finish that line and you celebrate with a glass of beer. So that needs to be taken care of.
Thank you so much. I'm so glad you covered that topic. I can't even tell you how many times we come across those questions. So
Yes.
that's just perfect, actually. Are there any other hydration myths that you can think of that you have come across in your practice? Like, people believe in that, but then you have to correct them or address those myths?
Hydration myth one is this thing that um, people think hydration can be taken care of only through water. You need to eat certain foods also. You can pick up things on the track. At times they give, not a lot of races in India they give, but where if you travel abroad and all of that, you do get crackers. Even a cheese cube will give you some sodium. Make hydration interesting, guys. It's not just water. It's not just those electrolyte tablets and supplements. Through a lot of foods also you can do. And another myth that works around hydration is gels. Gels are good, but just too many gels happen, and that makes you feel sick at the end of the race. It's overload happens in your gut. See, understand gels are good, but what are gels? We know Morton gels are there, which we keep it only for big race. If it's a local race, then I will do only with the Fast Enough and Unimed gels. It's just about we are maybe just working around. It's an international brand or an expensive one, so I keep it for the bigger one. If I'm doing a local race or an Indian race, we don't understand the difference among all of them. Not everything works on everyone. There are different compositions of each gel. The way gel is formulated is different. Like a Mortein gel is more like a thick gel. Okay, you can't overdo with that. And so there are it works on hydrogel. So there are so many things. So we need to stop relying too much on gels. Even beginners start, and I know even for 1 hour of races, people are consuming even two gels and three gels in 1 hour of this thing. So stop relying too much on gels. You need it, but strategically you need to take, and please understand your gel, what it contains. There are caffeinated, non-caffeinated. When do you need a caffeinated one? Does your body even digest caffeine? Like, I'm a person, caffeine doesn't work on me. I'm a slow metabolizer of caffeine. Okay, so if I take it before my any performance, I'm going to be very slow. So understand if caffeine also really works on you. So there are so many things that most of us are unaware when it comes to these hydration and these basic ingredients that can either make your performance or kill your performance. So we need to really go beyond water and start understanding the things behind hydration is very, very important.
So, just a couple of questions more. I think we are almost done, actually. This is out of my curiosity. See, being runners, we follow a lot of social media accounts as well, right? I've been coming across these videos where they show Skittles and then M&Ms and different kinds of candy as a substitute for either salt tablets or electrolytes and gels and all these. So, what's your take on it?
Sometimes these candies, I'm not against them, okay? But again, you have to use it strategically. They are not a replacement for hydration. Tablets, electrolyte tablets, sorry, they are not a replacement for your gels, but these candies are what? Sugar. Okay, so if you feel you have a tendency to go low in sugar towards the last 10 kilometers or the 5 kilometers, I have told my long distance runners sometimes towards the end, you can put a candy in your mouth. Okay, and you can run, because what happens, brain gets tricked by it. When you get little sugar in your mouth, you just get a feel good hormone and brain thinks that it's getting a sugar supply. Okay, and it starts making your energy